Next time on Ding Dong Games, it's time to return once again to Renegade Platinum, the greatest Rom Hack in history. But this time I'll be using Extreme Nuzlocke rules with extra restrictions on top of that to truly make this a grueling challenge. Last time I got destroyed in the post game, but with the stakes higher than ever, how far will I make it this time in the final Nuzlocke? Find out in the next episode of Ding Dong Games. Yes, I'm already back in Renegade Platinum. There's a few reasons for this. I never truly finished the post game last time and would very much like to do so, as it becomes very tough and very enjoyable. Also, after this video, I'll be doing an in-depth video essay styled analysis explaining why exactly Renegade Platinum is such a fantastic game. I never really explained this in as much depth as I would have liked to. I feel like these kind of videos are a good idea going forward in my channel, as not only are these videos entertaining like video essay styles, but they're relevant and actually have a purpose, presenting an argument and actually teaching you something new. Similar to H-Bomber Guy's 1 hour video essay on Bloodborne, which is such a good video. Not only was it very entertaining, but it also taught me a lot of new things and extended my outlook. But anyways, in this video, I'll be returning for an even harder Nuzlocke challenge. This time I'll be doing an Extreme Nuzlocke of Renegade Platinum. In case you didn't know, that's an advanced Nuzlocke mode with an added level cap to make it even harder. I am not allowed to overlevel the next gym leader under any circumstances, forcing me to always play at the opponent's level. One more extra restriction I added was that in this run, I restricted the use of setup strategies like Dragon Dance and Gyarados, which is so overpowered. In this run, I am not allowed to boost any of my stats past 2 stages to make it less abusable. I will say that I relied on setup strategies much less in this run than I did in my previous ones, and actually later on in the run I decided to just screw it and remove all setup moves just to make the finale more entertaining. So let's begin the first part of the final Nuzlocke. Yes, you heard me, this run was so long that it will actually be split into 3 full videos. That just shows how much stuff happened in this run. So I begin with Turtwig as usual, then pick up the other Sinnoh starters, but because of the rules that I usually use, I'm only allowed 1 starter in my party at a time, so I stick with Turtwig for now. I catch my first few Pokemon now. I stupidly failed to catch this Pidgey and was forced to flee. My Turtwig ended up having really bad IVs, which sucked. Pidgeot would have been so nice, as in this game it got really strong buffs. I did end up catching a Surskit and a Zigzagoon. Keep in mind that almost every conventionally bad Pokemon in this game got buffed in some way, so almost every Pokemon is viable, like Beedrill, Butterfree or Ferret. I did get this free Eevee from my mum, which had a careful nature, which is the optimal nature for the build that I'll be using. The level cap is now set to level 16 for the first gym leader. Now, you've most likely seen me go through this part of the game several times already, so I'll just skim over what happens. Get the Kanto starters, do some fishing, getting Magikarp, Krabby and Poliwag, then I get the free egg which I hatched into Happiny, which was so much better than I originally thought it was. Blissey is really strong in this game. Also, I'll skip over some of the Pokemon I catch in this run, as many of them won't be used at all. But now I prepare for the first rival fight. The Geodude that I caught in the cave was incredibly useful, as with an Expert Belt Rock Tomb, it completely destroys Barry almost single-handedly. That battle was easy as I had a good counter for him. After that I catch a Spearow, which is very strong as Spearow got a good buff in this game. It's very good against the Mars boss fight, which I will show you soon. I caught a Zubat, then proceeded to Orbra, where I catch a Rhyhorn. This Pokemon can be useful when it evolves, but the Onix that I catch in the mine is much more useful early game. It's a very good counter to many early game threats, which I will explain when I reach them. Both Onix and Steelix got strong buffs. Man, I almost had casualties catching it, but thank god I didn't. Onix was so worth catching. I get the gift Pokemon available and I'm now preparing for the first gym battle. Definitely use Marshtomp as it easily counters Roark. However, Mudkip got KO'd by Ponyta and it was so cheesy. The first attack dealt about 30%, but the next attack was a max damage roll and a critical hit, which was just enough to finish me off. That first hit must have been a minimum damage roll. That is really unlikely and it was so annoying. Hey, at least I found a shiny Machop afterwards. Well, I feel better after that. But yeah, without my Marshtomp strategy, I really do need to improvise as Roark is now a threat as his Pokemon are very strong, they have good coverage options. I use Prinplup as my new starter, which isn't as useful in this battle as Marshtomp is, but it's still nice. Unfortunately, it gets Bubble Beam at level 17 as Piplup, which is above the level cap. I challenged the gym leader anyways, and it was tense. Nosepass getting off Thunder Wave was a massive problem, combined with the fact that his Pokemon hit hard and are difficult to switch in safely to. Thankfully my Onix saved me, and while I did make a bad misplay, the Cranidos missing Zen Headbutt was very fortunate. One crit here and I would have been screwed. In a clutch play, the shiny Machop I caught was the only safe switch in I had to the last Bonsly to win the battle. I still would have won, but I was lucky to avoid casualties. Be very careful of this trainer with the Kricketune. It got a critical hit and dealt a lot of damage. Get the Johto starters, then catch some new Pokemon. What I do is I use the honey trees for my encounters, as they do have some great Pokemon that you can catch, and I really want a Munchlax. The first encounter gave me a Tangela, which at first I wasn't too happy about. But later on I realised that this Pokemon is actually OP as anything. The next honey tree I caught a Heracross in the next route, which is an insane early game encounter to get. That was really lucky. Then in the Valley Windworks I got a Slakoth. Now I was so happy to see this, but stupidly for some reason I accidentally misclicked and ran away. I was not happy about that. I could have easily caught it, but no, I accidentally pressed the wrong button. You fucking are! Donkey! No. That always happens. Well, at least I formed some leftovers. Now my squad is ready for the Mars boss fight, which can be tough if you're not ready as Purugly is very strong. But I had a strategy to easily counter her. Fearow is amazing as it's strong enough to one-shot Zubat, and for some reason she sends out Yanma next, which I also easily beat. Purugly is a threat, but Onix flat out counters it and uses Bulldoze to beat it. It was so funny how Purugly was just swinging at Onix over and over again, it was just getting tanked like nothing. Geodude and Rhyhorn are also useful to use here, but Onix is a bit better. Cheryl in Eterna Forest gets countered completely by the combination of Heracross and Umbreon. Not much to see there. I used my Eterna Forest encounter on this honey tree and I got a Beedrill, which isn't the best Pokemon despite getting some strong buffs. This Farfetch on the cycling path can set up and sweep if you're not careful as it's got Sword Stance. In the Haunted Mansion I get the Rotom, which is great to have. The last notable encounter before the second gym was a Feebas, and good god, this was amazing. It had a calm nature, which made it such an incredible wall. Be very careful of the snow trainers as their teams are tough. Try to avoid them if possible, as it just isn't worth risking your Pokemon for the extra XP. Like here, this Cypher got a critical hit and one-shotted my Fearow from like 90%, which was so unexpected. Damn, I really wanted my Fearow for the coming boss fights as it's really good against them. My second casualty. I should have just switched in Onix, but I had no idea. Damn, I almost lost my Onix here to a random wild encounter also. I need to be more careful, thank god I didn't. Anyways, time for Gardenia. And for this, I've got an easy strategy. I use Monferno, set up a substitute in Blossom, then I use a single bulk up. Yes, only one, which was enough to completely sweep her entire team. Wow, I wasn't even abusing setup or anything, I only used one setup move in the whole battle. Moving on here, I made a horrible misplay. I was multitasking at this point and for some reason, I stupidly decided to stay in against a Stunky, which was so unnecessary, and I got hit by Night Slash. And it was a critical hit. And it destroyed my Metang. I was so pissed at this, but honestly, it was my fault. I recommend never leaving anything to critical hit chance if possible. If you can easily switch out to avoid a critical hit, then do so. But here I was distracted. I don't know if it's just me, but this game's RNG does feel really jacked up at times. My team isn't good at countering Jupiter as it is, so I've got no choice but to use Magikarp. Unleash the Kraken! And that is exactly what happened, as it subbed up in Golbat then completely swept the rest of our team with Bounce. Oh baby. Get the Togepi egg afterwards and change Rotom to Rotom Heat and move on. This part of the run is tense as there's a string of boss battles ahead. Get all the fossils then battle Mira. I now have Steelix, which is very useful. I beat Mira, but god, this was such a tense battle as the RNG was so obnoxious. Almost everything that could have went wrong in this battle went wrong. Of course the confuse rate did nothing. This part was especially close. I almost lost in the end due to double team spam, but thank god I won without casualties. I challenged Dawn now. I missed Will-O-Wisp against Piloswine. The next one hit, but the Piloswine's attack was a critical hit. Oh my god. Thankfully the rest of the battle was easy, but man, the extreme double RNG was very obnoxious. So much for using Rotom. Now I've got to prepare for Aaron, which is most likely the hardest boss battle before Silesian Town. I spent ages preparing our team specifically to counter him, as his Pokemon are tough, especially his Drapion. Eventually I was ready and challenged him. A great strategy to use is to use a substitute Monferno, as it usually outspeeds Dustox and its only attacking move is Bug Buzz, which does nothing. Combuskin with Speed Boost is also very strong, but the issue is that turn 1 you cannot outspeed it, and it uses Toxic, so you will have to use a Pecha Berry. Anyways, Monferno uses Substitute. I use one Swords Dance, then start sweeping. I use Substitute on the Beautifly, expecting a full restore heal, which is a very big brain move right there. But here's the Drapion. It's scary and it hits hard, and it's got the sniper ability, and... why am I not even surprised here? Okay, good thing I was prepared here, as I brought this Steelix. Remember when I said that Steelix was very useful for a specific situation earlier on? Well, this is that very situation. I brought Steelix to this battle specifically to counter this Drapion, as Steelix is one of the very few available Pokemon that can actually counter it. Oh my god, stop with the critical hits, come on. But at least after that I beat the rest of Aaron's team. Phew, I'm glad that's over. It sucks that Monferno fainted, but honestly at this point Monferno has kind of served its purpose. From the very beginning I planned on bringing Monferno to this very battle. I'm always thinking 69 steps ahead with a galaxy brain please. I challenged a third gym leader now, and I don't have the best team to handle her. Miss Mages is a big problem, so I brought Blissey to stop it. The battle starts off easy, and at first Blissey is just walling Miss Mages, but things really start to escalate as it spams Calm Mind. Since Blissey can't damage it in return, I'm in trouble. I had no choice but to sacrifice someone, and while Steelix almost managed to beat Miss Mages, it came just short. If only Steelix had a good steel move to use. This was sad, but to be honest, Steelix has kind of served its main purpose in the run, by beating Aaron. However, the battle literally ends with Umbreon just clean sweeping the rest of her team, which was quite surprising. I'm almost at the Silesian Town EV farm, which is like the safe haven of the Nuzlocke, like Firelink Shrine. I used Bastiodon momentarily to replace Steelix, but it didn't do that much in its run. I'll skip over the next rival battle as this is one of the easier ones in the whole run. You need to be careful of the stubble battle, but as long as you act methodically you should be fine. Then there's this trainer here with a Rampardo, so make sure you've got an answer for that. I catch some more Pokemon before hitting the EV training farm, but the only noteworthy one I caught was Vigoroth. Okay, well now I can get a slacking. At least this one had a jolly nature, which is kind of great. At this point you have to be careful of the level cap, as you can gain a lot of XP from the trainers, and you have to train at the daycare centre. It's best to ignore as many trainer battles as possible to avoid accidentally hitting the level cap. I clear out Maylene's gym first, then go to EV train my Pokemon. A tragedy did occur when this matchup used Counter. Oh man. Now that everything's cleared, I've got a lot of Pokemon to choose from, so I assemble a team to beat Maylene, then do some EV training. This is my new anti-fighting team, and I've got an easy strategy to beat this gym. I focus on debuffing Medicham, then using that to set up my own sweep. Gyarados leads to get Intimidate, then switch to Dusknoir, expecting the fake out so I can burn it. At that point Gyarados switches back in, so it's now at -2, and is able to easily set up 2 Dragon Dances and sweep. I will say that I rely on setup strategies less and less as the run goes on, and in the last few major battles I actually chose to just forgo them entirely, in before people get butthurt at me using substitute strategies. Get more Pokemon like Staravia, then after that I prepared to challenge Barry again, and this time your rival is not to be taken lightly. His team is very offensive and can be hard to counter properly. Later on in the run, I did discover a few new ways of countering him pretty easily, but at this point I hadn't known about them yet. Staraptor is monstrously strong. Azumarill is also strong, but thank god it missed here. This Dusknoir is max defense, just for this. I burn it, then use Gyarados to sweep. I predict Breloom using Spore, so I sub up on that, then sweep from there. I will say that this Milotic is just incredible. It has a calm nature, with max HP and physical defense, letting it counter strong threats like Weavile, Infernape and Heracross. Such an incredible Pokemon to have. This Mantine in Wake's gym has Miracle, so look out for that. Now Crasher Wake's team can be hard, as it uses Pyramid Rain and good strategies to abuse it. And while last time I showcased a broken Poliwrath strategy to abuse setup, this time I want to show you all a strategy that's less reliant on setup. This strategy centers entirely on Venusaur, which uses Sunny Day to cancel out the rain. The funny thing is that when my Ivysaur evolved, it had the Chlorophyll ability, but it got changed to Thick Fat, which at first I didn't like that, as it kinda ruined my Sunny Day sweep strategy, but I realised that Thick Fat is actually a very good ability to have. I used the same play as last time, of weakening Quagsire, as Venusaur sets up a substitute, cancels out the rain with Sunny Day, then sets up to just +2 with growth. Then it starts spamming Giga Drain. However, I did have to abort this strategy as I knew that this Sharpedo had Zen Headbutt, so I didn't want to take any chances. The backup does a good job of cleaning up though. Then Venusaur comes back in and sweeps again. Nice. It's always good to have a plan B and a plan C just in case. Plans don't always go as you think. I go to Safari Zone and catch one Pokemon from each area, and also get the TM for Protect, which is very important. Quagsire is good as it got buffed, and it's got the Unaware ability which I will need for the next Cyrus battle. I changed my team to easily handle Dawn as I re-battle her. The cool thing is that she changes her lead Pokemon to match your one, but expecting her to lead up with Alakazam, I gave my Heracross a Focus Sash to ensure it can beat Alakazam one-on-one. Did I mention that Heracross has Skill Link in this game? Nice. I sweep again, which admittedly was a bit boring. Cyrus, however, is much harder to abuse setup strategies against, as his team is pretty offensive and quite threatening. However, I ended up just leading off with my Crobat check, and just swept from there without using any boosting moves. That was kind of interesting. Now the next battle here against Castle Valley Darak is one of the tougher boss battles in the whole game due to his very powerful team and how his lead Pokemon actually changes. I know he has an Alakazam, so bring a counter for that as that's very strong. But my strategy was to lead off with Slacking, which is so insane. It's got a jolly nature, it can outspeed and one-shot almost everything with a Choice Band, which is crazy. If you lead off with Slacking, you're almost always insta-killing whatever the opponent sends out, giving you a big advantage. That's exactly what happens, as not even type advantage is enough to stop it. Then Blizzy gets to work countering Alakazam, but this went on for a while. But I did set up a light screen, so Gyarados can come in, set up 2 Dragon Dances and sweep again. Don't worry guys, I stopped using this strategy pretty soon for the most part. So that's that. However, the next rival battle against Barry on the other hand, did not go to plan, and this was almost a complete disaster. The battle starts off well. My plays just fall into place. Aerodactyl counters Staraptor, Venusaur counters Azumarill, Milotic counters Infernape, Heracross counters Breloom, Milotic counters Heracross. But then the final Snorlax came out, and oh boy, now I panicked a bit when I saw it use Curse and I had to act fast before it set up too much. I took a risk and went for Sword Stance as I didn't think I could one-shot it with close combat as it was already at +1. Which ended up completely backfiring. Damn it, no! Goodbye Heracross. What followed is one of the most ridiculous stealth sequences I've ever seen in any playthrough, as I burned it but it just kept on spamming Curse. I couldn't stop the Snorlax and eventually had to sacrifice some Pokemon. You know, a critical hit would have been so useful right about now. I had no choice but to sacrifice Venusaur. Damn it, I really like that Pokemon. But after a crazy 20 turn sequence, I somehow managed to stall out the Snorlax by using Milotic, Confuse Ray, Cute Charm hacks, and a whole load of recovers. Jesus. I was a bit pissed off that a lot of RNG was against me, But you know what, I'm grateful that I just got out of this battle alive. I feared the worst, and was legit one of the most tense battles I've ever had in a Nuzlocke. It was my fault for miscalculating with Heracross. I probably could have been it a lot easier. The 2 losses were sad, but alas, I've just got to carry on after that. I did beat the Riley boss battle without too much trouble. Nothing much to see here. But then to my dismay, another tragedy occurred. I literally remembered right as I clicked Earthquake on Quagsire that Empoleon in fact had Grass Knot, which it did end up using. No! Gyarados needs to avenge this, and... You've got to be kidding me. Here, of all the times, I swear to God this game sometimes outright bombards you with critical hits. Why does this always happen to Gyarados? This is the 3rd Renegade Platinum Nuzlocke where Gyarados got downed by a critical hit. I didn't really have any good counters to Empoleon as I needed my Slacking to beat his Metagross, but it's fine. It's fine. Really. Anyways, I did end up reaching Byron, and I know I could have just auto-won with the Poliwrath strategy, but I used something else here. Umbreon Baton passed 2 double teams to Blastoise and just sweep with Surf. No joke, in this game Blastoise is insanely good. It gets Drizzle, and oh baby, Yawn Protect is my new favourite combo. I'll really get into detail about that later on why it's so good. It is good to have a tanky Pokemon for a Nuzlocke, to make you feel safe. Speaking of oh baby, I found a shiny Nidorina. Yoink. I'll skim over the next 2 Galactic boss battles as they're not too hard. Saturn was alright, but there was one point where a critical hit would have KO'd one of my Pokemon. Then I battled Mars again and I beat her easily enough. Be very careful of the trainers on the way to Snow Point City. This one here gave me some trouble. Also, I'm starting to approach the level cap. Honestly, I don't like playing with strict level caps, as it leads to you just avoiding lots of battles and it kinda constrains your playthrough a bit too much. I much prefer rough level caps, where you have to try to stay around the opponent's level, but it's not the end of the world if you accidentally overlevel by 1 or 2. I did catch some good ice Pokemon though. Now this double battle to enter the temple is a difficult spike, and unfortunately I had no counter to Feraligatr. Aerodactyl was down. Goodbye Aerodactyl, I kinda needed that. It had an adamant nature also. The rest of the battle wasn't as bad. As consolation, I did catch a Weavile inside the temple, which is very useful. I also caught a Magpie at Fuego Ironworks, which is cool as it reminds me of Fire Red Omega. Jesus Christ, my Blastoise is down. I underestimated this Glalie as it used Head Smash. It became a rock type in this game and got hugely buffed stats. Damn it, not Blastoise as well. But to make things worse, what the hell just happened? This Dugong whapped out sheer cold out of nowhere and destroyed my Blissey. Now this I was not happy about as I really needed Blissey to counter a lot of special attacking threats. Of course it hit in the first try as well. Screw it, let's fast forward to the Candice battle, I'm done with this gym. I added Magmortar to the team, and to easily roast her lead Pokemon Abomasnow, but I make it use Sunny Day to weaken the Walrein and to cancel out the Hail, which is a big brain play, definitely recommend that. Blaziken didn't work out as well as I thought it would, but luckily the Frostlass paralysed itself with Synchronize and started getting haxed. I wasn't able to get off my sweep with Blaziken, so I had to use plan B. Milotic put in work with his great bulk and recovery, but Mamoswine was scary. Thank God he didn't get a critical hit on me. I yawned it to sleep, then Milotic sweeps the rest of her team. That battle did get a bit tense and could have gone way worse, so I'm glad for that. Before going to Galactic HQ, I went to 2 prior areas where I forgot to have my encounters for them. I got the Gabite static encounter, which is super strong. Then I fished up a Dratini in Eterna City. Okay, time to clear out Galactic HQ. The level cap is a bit problematic as there's so many hurdles I've got to overcome before Volkner. I can't restrict my leveling too much or otherwise this will become too hard. Here I've got the first Cyrus battle and this was not easy, as I didn't prepare enough and surprisingly this time I was actually under leveled for a change, which is not good. I underestimated the Crobat, as I didn't have my Aerodactyl anymore to flat out counter it. I was just able to baton pass a double team to Blaziken, who's got speed boost. I wanted to sweep. I set up a Swords Dance, but damn it, this Magnezone got the power hacks. This screws up everything for me now. I've got no choice but to sacrifice my Blaziken, as I've got no safe switching anymore. Man, that was unfortunate. At least Milotic counters Weavile easily, and while Honchkrow is able to one-shot Milotic with a critical hit, it doesn't get that lucky and gets destroyed. Slacking cleans up the rest. That battle could have gone better, but it could have also gone worse as well. To be honest, Blaziken wasn't even that necessary, and I didn't prepare enough for Cyrus. I didn't have the best counters and my levels were a bit too low, but next time I'll be ready. At least the Saturn rematch was easy, minus the Magmortar. But now I've got to really prepare for the whole ordeal at Mount Coronet. As you may know, this is not an easy sequence with many grueling boss battles, especially the final Cyrus rematch. Seeing how much I struggled just now against Cyrus, I need to go back to the drawing board and really get serious with my team building. And this is exactly what I ended up doing. But before my final training session, I clear out all the galactic enemies before the distortion world. Do not let your guard down during the 12 vs 12 double battle. If Barry loses all of his Pokemon, you'll be completely screwed, so be methodical and always prioritize the threats. A good plan is to beat all of the Pokemon of one of the Team Galactic commanders first, then let Barry do the rest of the work. But now it's time. The finale of the first part of the epic Nuzlocke journey is upon us. I need to make my final preparations for the grueling Team Galactic conclusion. At this point, there's no point in holding back anymore. It's all or nothing now. I take my whole team to the level cap to maximise my odds here. I'll just use a new team to beat Volkner anyway. But now the priority is to beat Cyrus at all costs without casualties. The new leads are Dragonite and Machamp, which is very important as I'll show you. Also, I decided to add a bulky Empoleon to the team, which has a relaxed nature and max physical defense EVs. Bulky Empoleon is just phenomenal. Seriously, I totally recommend using it. It's almost Milotic tiers of amazing. Its great defense and bulk lets it take hits from Cyrus's Crobat, Weavile and Honchkrow, which is a huge threat as it has super luck. This is just the counter I needed. It's so good against Cyrus. Also, it's got access to Yawn and Protect, which is an amazingly good strategy, being able to easily put any threat to sleep while stalling for leftovers recovery, giving you so much breathing room in battle. It lets you handle threats much easier by buying you lots of time. It's so good. But with that established, time for this episode's conclusion. Oh god, this battle is so tense. These legendary behemoths are terrifying and the stakes are incredibly high. If any Pokemon faint, then I'm in big trouble. What power! Can I even win? The pressure's really starting to mount now. You know what, I've come this far, I won't back down now. I prepared rigorously for this very specific battle, and now my massive brain plan has come to fruition. Dragonite uses Protect to lure in Dragon type attacks on purpose. Usually the AI will target Pokemon that they can hit super effectively. Though Palkia attacking Machamp was not according to plan. At least it used Earth Power and not Spatial Rend, that would have hit really hard. I used Dynamic Punch instead of Close Combat as I didn't think Close Combat could one-shot the Dialga. Well, I was wrong as it barely survived a Dynamic Punch, which is bad news. Now I've got to switch out Dragonite to Milotic and Machamp for Empoleon. I did have a mini heart attack as I just remembered that Palkia could use Earth Power and I thought that it could maybe one-shot Empoleon, but luckily it used Spatial Rend. Thank God. Honestly, I don't even know why Palkia used Earth Power against Machamp in the first place. And yes! Dialga knocked itself out. Perfect. Now Milotic can easily counter Palkia as its Water Fairy, and I play with Fire by switching in Dragonite, expecting an Earth Power. God, imagine if it used Spatial Rend again, Dragonite would have gotten destroyed. But with this, I knock out Palkia and win. That was so satisfying to pull off. It was so unbelievably tense as well. I was really stressed out while preparing for this, and it's so rewarding when a plan like this works out without any casualties. With one great victory, Cyrus can't scare me anymore, as I confidently take him on again. This time I'm higher level than him, and I'm ready for him. Now, I had to lead off with Dragonite in this battle, due to the circumstances of the previous one, and wow, that Crobat dealt about 50% to my Dragonite. But the masterful combo of Fly, Protect and Extreme Speed allows me to gain loads of leftovers recovery while beating Crobat. This very specific 1 vs 1 is something that I also prepared for, as I anticipated in advance that Fly would not be enough to one-shot the Crobat, so I made sure that my Dragonite had extreme speed to finish it off. Man, I feel like a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist right now, with all these 10-head predictions. Milotic easily counters Weavile, then Dragonite was able to come in and beat Magnezone by using Protect and Earthquake. Then it finishes off the Weavile with extreme speed, as the Weavile was Focus Sashed, which is another very specific engagement that I actually anticipated and planned for. This also gives me a lot of leftovers recovery, which is really good for Dragonite. Now this Gyarados is one thing on Cyrus' team that I didn't have a very good counter for, and I was genuinely scared of it. Now I'm getting really serious as I switch in my Slacking with Choice Band to smash it in one hit. Slacking is really good for emergencies like this. My revised team building really paid off as Empoleon completely walls the Honchkrow like nothing and puts it to sleep so Milotic can sweep. And with that, Cyrus has been vanquished. These two battles have been crazy, but I'm so happy that everything went according to plan. This was so rewarding. But now it's time for the true final boss of part 1. Giratina, and this is no joke. The battle was short but intense, and I'll let it speak for itself. Galactic has been vanquished. This is the end of part 1. Next time on Ding Dong Games, Giratina has been defeated, but don't be fooled. This is only the first chapter in this long and arduous journey, with many harder challenges to come. Being pushed to his limits, can Mr. Ding Dong overcome these challenges and complete Renegade Platinum Extreme Nuzlocke once and for all? Don't move in his next exciting episode.